We're going to switch to the offensive side of the ball here in a sec, but before we do, our Browns Talk is always brought to us by Cuyahoga Community College.
Nice
Tri-C supports their students financially, professionally, and personally, opening up the doors to endless possibilities. Tri-C is where the future starts, and it starts right now. Classes begin January 17th. That's coming up, guys. So make sure you check out Tri-C for your post-secondary education needs.
Mike, before you ask something else, let me quickly say that I'm
done on the read, by the way.
I'm very excited about our overtime topic today. If you are not a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, jump on board today because we are talking about the legend that is Odell Beckham on a plane and his bad behavior on a plane. You do not want to miss this conversation. Starters tier is fine, but if you want to see the bonus content, go to the coaches tier.
It's going to get hot.
It's going to get crazy.
Hit the join button to join, by the way. If you see the homepage there, click the join button, and that'll have all the details for you. But
let's go.
I think this is going to be a really good overtime
Absolutely.
segment
today. Man, another topic that I wanted on the regular show that they didn't put on overtime.
Yeah.
You guys are all welcome.
You have a chance. If you're a member, join us in.
We got to save some really good content for the coaches tier because
they deserve it.
They're the extra special folks right now. They're the diehards.
And this next topic should be a good one too. We kind of got into it in our group chat a little bit, and then we decided, well, if it's getting hot in the group chat, it's going to get hot on the actual show. DeAndre Hopkins has asked for a trade. Brandin Cooks has asked for a trade. G. Bush, Jay, Jason, Bull.
Gee, you're hot on Hopkins. You should start on this one, man.
And you're wrong, so you go first.
Hey, listen, I can see why people like Brandin Cooks. He's pretty fast. You know, he can get vertical. Both of those guys honestly played with Deshaun Watson. DeAndre Hopkins is older. He'll be in his 30s. I believe he's 31 or something like that.
He's 30 right now.
He's 30 right now. He's missed a couple games. But I do think that he missed some games because it was a substance abuse.
Steroids.
Right?
He missed the first 6 games because of steroids.
Right. He wasn't necessarily injured. But when I look at it like this, either way, when I'm looking at the Browns, actually they don't have a choice, to be truthful. They don't have a choice whether they can guess or not, whether or not they can afford to make that move or which one to do. Because you got to think about it like this. Deshaun Watson got next year. If Stefanski don't do nothing in 4 to 6 games, he's done. Chalk it up. You might like people don't get that. If Stefanski don't do nothing, he got 6.
Are you saying like they
games.
start 1-5, he's out?
Oh yeah, bye.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, bye.
Okay.
Whole season, he's done. Because there's a lot of people. If you poll the audience, there's probably almost 60% of the people that say they would like to get rid of him this year.
That high?
I believe so. Put a little tab up there.
60%.
If
60%.
Stefanski should be gone right now.
No,
it's probably.
Ask the.
I mean, if it's not there, I think
up.
it's not far
No, I'm
off.
just asking. Gee, what question specifically do you
So
want
the
to
poll, I think
Should Stefanski remain the head coach?
60% of people think Stefanski should have got fired after this year.
Wow, that seems high to me.
We'll see it.
Yeah, no, we will see.
But my thing is, you have to do all that you can do. You got to do all that you can do to get Deshaun Watson another receiver. And because you've spent so much capital trying to get Deshaun Watson, you don't have the capital to go to the draft and draft anybody. Second round picks, you need the other things with that.
So who do you trade for either one of these guys?
So this is the thing. I think if you looking at it, if I'm going to trade something, give me the name brand. If I'm not going to go to. If I got to go to the car lot, I know there's a little Mazda up there, and the Mazda going to cost me, $15,000. But why would I not go ahead and get to $20,000 and go ahead and get me this Lexus then? It's the same car, but guess what? I got a dependability factor. I've seen what DeAndre Hopkins can do in this league. I've seen him dominate in this league. Brandin Cooks, that's a decent player. But here's the thing. When you get Brandin Cooks, you still going to have to overpay. You're not going to get Brandin Cooks for free. You still going to pay for Brandin Cooks.
Well, you're going to pay for either one of these guys. And my question is, what are we giving up?
Well, I don't think they're going to have to give up that much. How much what do you think they have to give up?
Hop has 2 years left.
Yeah.
He's going to make.
You mean money-wise?
And Hopkins
money-wise
says this makes a difference. Hopkins says he wants a new deal.
Yes, he's got 2 at 34. You're going to have to rip that up. And even with Cooks, and I'm not even talking about the financial end of it. I'm not. What pieces are we going to give Arizona or Houston where we're going to beat out 31 other
I just
teams.
think nobody's giving up more than nobody's giving up anything for Hopkins. I bet you they have to end up cutting him.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
No, look how hot
way.
the receiver market got last year. He won't get cut. He'll
He's
be
31. And
Yeah, I
No,
know.
he's 30.
I know.
No, he's going to be 31 at the start of the season.
Oh, well, Cooks will be 30 at the
Cooks
start
will be
of the
30.
season.
Okay. First of all, I just don't think DeAndre Hopkins is what the Browns are looking for. They need a wide receiver that's got big-time speed.
They do.
I'm not even sure Cooks at 30 years old still fits that bill, but Hopkins certainly does not. He missed 6 games for steroids. Is he the same player? I don't know.
His numbers when he came back were pretty solid.
But he also missed time due to injury. He missed
did.
half the season last year due to injury. How many wide receivers still play at a high level at 32?
Many.
Or 31. Honestly,
So your answer is neither.
Browns are not in a position to say neither.
No. I think they need to go they need to get a speed wide receiver. I'm just not sure either of these guys is the right answer.
I'm not sure that guy, the speed wide receiver that is readily available. Where's that guy at?
No, they don't fall out of trees.
If it's between those two guys, I'll get Cooks. He's a year younger. He's never really been hurt. He missed a couple of games this year. I think he missed 3 games. And part of it was because he was unhappy being on the team, which
Right.
I don't blame him because they suck. But Cooks before this year, I don't know if he missed any games. Like, he's always been healthy in his career. He's had 1,000 yards, I think, every year but 1 or 2 in his career. Like, I know DeAndre Hopkins at his best was a lot better than Cooks, but he's not at his best.
He's still better than Brandin Cooks. If it's 3rd and 7,
I'm not sure he's better.
If it's 3rd and 7, who you want to get the ball?
But, gee, we've been complaining all year. We need a receiver that can bust up the top of the defense. That's not Hopkins.
Brandin Cooks ain't running past nobody now. You
He
see the
can
Texans
more than
play?
Hopkins.
You see the Texans. He's on my fantasy
They
team.
got nobody. Who's throwing him the ball?
All I'm saying is
Jay,
this.
wait.
Can you name another offensive player on the Texans?
No.
Laramie Tunsil.
Nico Collins.
No.
If you're going to make me pick one, I'm going to take
Yeah.
Brandin Cooks, but I'm far more worried about fixing the defense and using draft picks as trade capital to fix the defense than I am finding another receiver. Do they need to get
I think it's a big
Watson
priority.
more weapons? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But also, let's not forget, if we're still going to believe that he's still the quarterback that he was in 2020, and I know you came down a level on that, you still say he is.
Yeah.
I'm concerned, but let's assume he's going to get back to that level. His quarterback's coach said he was throwing to guys who should be working at Walmart, and he led the league in passing.
Yeah.
So Deshaun Watson has a history of making guys better than what they are.
And they won 4 games.
Yes, they
But wait
did.
a minute. Hopkins was on that team.
Not on that
Not in
level.
2020.
No,
Hopkins was
on
not
the,
on that
when he
Not in
threw
2020.
for 4,800 yards.
He
No.
led the league in passing
I
in
think
2020.
Cooks was on that
Cooks
team.
was on that team.
Yeah. Cooks was on the
Yeah,
team.
and I wouldn't say
DeAndre
Cooks-
Hopkins
Yeah, I mean,
was
Cooks
not.
is a good
Walmart.
player, but
Yes, but
besides
the
Cooks,
point
there
was
nobody
he didn't have a whole lot of weapons
Yes.
to throw
Right.
to. He led the league in passing. Yes, they won 4 games, which is why I want to fix the defense. I want to fix the front 7. I want a defensive tackle. If I got to trade a second-round pick for a defensive tackle, okay, fine. I'll do that. I'm more concerned with allocating free agent dollars and trade capital to fix the front 7, and then we'll worry about
I think they
the
gotta do
weapons.
both,
They've
Jason.
got, well, of course they have to do both,
Well-
but they got David Njoku, they got Amari Cooper,
Yeah,
and they
but
got
here's the thing.
DPJ.
Here's the thing,
That's
though.
better than what they have
it's
in the
good.
front 7 right
it's
now.
It's fine, but here's the problem. The 3 best teams in the AFC,
Talk about it.
the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills,
Ain't
who the
beat
Browns are
none-
way behind those teams
Ain't
right
beat
now.
none of them.
All 3 of those teams have elite quarterbacks. All 3 of those teams have an elite pass catcher. The Chiefs have Kelsey. The Bengals have Chase. I would argue Higgins too, but at least Chase. And the Bills have Stephon Diggs. Amari Cooper's a good player. He ain't in the class of those 3
Which
players.
teams did you mention? The Bengals, the Bills, and
Chiefs.
And Chiefs.
And the Chargers got 2 good receivers.
They also can stop the run better than the Browns can. All those teams can stop the run better than the Browns can.
It
They
comes
have
down
got
to-
Are the
to
Chiefs?
fix.
I don't know about the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, they
but
can.
yeah.
They have got to
Well,
fix the run
everybody
defense.
just about stops the run better than
They've
the
No, I
got
hear
to
you,
fix
but
the run
you
defense.
got to do both.
Yes, of course you do.
ultimately,
But
you
I'm
do have
saying
to do
I'm not
both.
trading a second-round pick for any of those guys.
No,
Or a
no,
third-round
no,
pick.
no. I wouldn't either.
I want
No.
to use trade capital to fix the defensive front. What's left over?
I don't think a second. I think you could get Brandin Cooks for a 4th-round pick. Maybe I'm nuts.
I mean, you
but
got Amari for a 5,
Yeah.
right?
And it was the steal of the year.
And Cooks has, I think, 1 year left at like 18
If you
million.
can get a Cooks
so you're
for a
probably
4th or
going to
5th round
restructure
pick,
that.
yeah, do it.
If you
At
get
the
him, you're probably going to do what you did with Amari, restructure it, try and bring the number down on the
Right.
cap a little bit and stretch it out.
and he's not an elite receiver,
At
but
the trade deadline, and I'm not sure this is still applicable, but he didn't get traded to the Cooks did not get traded to the Cowboys because they wanted a 2nd-round pick and the Cowboys to pay his salary this year. and the Cowboys would not do that. So they're asking for
nobody's
a
He's
second
been
round.
asking for he's been asking for a trade for a while. This
Yeah.
isn't new.
I'm just saying that
here's
was
my
the
concern with
earlier
Brandin
value
Cooks.
for Cooks.
And I can't explain it. I've asked players that have played with him why this is the case. He'll start next season on a different team. It'll be his 5th team in 10 seasons.
Yeah.
He's been traded 3 times.
I don't understand that. I mean, he is a valuable commodity, but New Orleans, New England, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but it scares me.
It's those guys that go, it's like when Odell came here. Well, I don't know why it didn't work in New York, but it'll be fine here. Well, there's always a reason why. There's always a reason
I haven't
why.
heard a bad thing about him.
But
though.
no, that's what's interesting to me
Yeah.
is we've never heard stories. I've asked teammates, and nobody seems to have an answer, but
Ain't nobody.
everybody.
I saw
but
something.
Houston hasn't wanted to trade him.
Everybody.
No,
he
but
wants
he's
out.
wanted out,
Yeah.
and you can understand why.
Sure.
But New Orleans gave up on him, New England gave up on him,
And
and
he
I
played
just
well.
don't know why. When they traded him, he was playing at an all-pro, or a Pro Bowl caliber level.
Because he's not no difference maker like that. You can find, they talk about running backs.
Yeah.
You can find a slot receiver like that, a dime a dozen anywhere.
I just don't buy that DeAndre Hopkins is still a difference maker.
My fear is that we're talking about the best thing we should do is go out and trade for a 30-year-old wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we saw what Jarvis Landry became as he aged.
Yeah.
It's a position that
Jarvis
really
Landry's
relies
shot.
on. It's a young man's
Yes.
game. And
that's why-
Anthony Schwartz isn't the answer. We know that. But knowing the Browns the way I do, I would think that they would be sitting here saying, we're going to go out and we're going to get one in the second round of the draft that's
Yeah.
going to change our lives.
How about you trade a second rounder for DK Metcalf? Would they trade him for a second rounder?
Not a
No.
Probably not.
That's
You know what? They'll trade the second rounder for 2/3 and a 4th. That's what the Browns are going to do. That's what they did
well,
last year.
that's their MO. Yeah, give me more picks, even
Well,
if
that
they're
has-
late.
you know what the great thing about it is? I love it. You can't do that dumb crap this year. If you do that this year, you're going to get fired. I love the fact that firing is on the table because it makes you have to do something. You wouldn't have been on the table if you would have done this last year. Don't be scared today because you punted on receiver and D tackle. Now, oh my God, we got to get both of them. Yeah, you sure do. The homework is due tomorrow, Timmy. You can't keep saying I'm sick. You got to do makeup work. That homework is always due. So who you going to get? And if you punt on this year, which you kind of did last year, the gentleman's punt.
Oh, there'll be no punt this
There's
year.
no punt.
Now we're going to see urgency.
You have to. You just have to.
Because
And
everybody.
cap in the future be damned. Restructure contracts. Do whatever you have to do. They got to. Can't screw around here.
But that's for
agree.
a team that thinks they're really close. Are we really close?
Remake the front 7 and then get back to
In
me.
their mind,
Let's see who they bring in on the front
in their
7.
mind, they better be close because he's close to being a body.
As I heard once from a former NFL coach, he said, everyone knows when the water starts to boil.
Everybody.
And the water is boiling in Cleveland.
Yes, it is.
And I
It's
think
on-
they all know it. And the lack of urgency that was obvious through, last season, that's got to be gone. When they report to camp, they better get there with the mentality that they're on a week-to-week basis. Because to your point, I don't know that he does survive past week 6 if they're 1-5 or 2-4.
Well, if Deshaun Watson, if your nervousness is correct, and he's not the same player he was in Houston,
They're all screwed.
It's
They're
all over.
man.
It doesn't matter what else you do.
Who's screwed the most is Jimmy. Have you heard from anyone at all that Jimmy was the one that wanted Deshaun and that everyone else in the organization wanted to pass? Because I'm starting to hear whispers of that.
Well, I've had a couple conversations on that topic.
Okay.
And Andrew was all. It's been emphatically described to me. Andrew was in first on Deshaun.
Right.
And I had people outside the organization tell me Andrew liked him in Philly. When Andrew was in Philly, he liked him. So I do believe that Andrew was in on Deshaun. I think ownership pushed it over the top. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect
So
sense.
you're saying Stefanski was lukewarm? Or
I
didn't
heard that
want
of
it, or?
all of them, he was the least in on Deshaun.
Kevin was least in. Yeah,
Yep.
I can't say that definitively one
Yeah,
way or
I
the
can't
other.
say it definitively either, but someone who kind of knows these kinds of things and what goes on inside the building, it was described to me that Jimmy and Dee were so emphatic about it that it was going to happen, and everyone else kind of realized it's a fait accompli.
Well, Jason's saying Barry was first one in.
Well, yeah. Now that's.
Yeah.
I don't know that not to be true. What I was told was that once everybody in the building realized that Jimmy and Dee were like, let's do this, that everybody, if they weren't on board, at least
got on board.
Which, by the way, is good business sense.
In the end, it doesn't matter if he plays well or not. He's got to play well or not.
This is really quickly. Like Jason, you go get you a nice car, right? Your car is nice, and you making that payment. If something happened to it, you already in for the payment, right? So you don't skimp on where you take the car to, and they give you a crazy sum of how much it's going to cost to fix it. Well, that's the price of having a luxury car. If you wanted to have a Toyota Camry, you'd be all good now, wouldn't you? You can go down the street.
But if Deshaun Watson turns out to be a Toyota Camry, they're screwed.
Well, and see, to your point a second ago, you said it doesn't matter because it's done.
Yeah.
I say it does matter because if it doesn't work,
you got to find
Stefanski and Barry are out of here, but guess who stays?
Right.
He's here, and so Haslam has to do everything. If they can't fix the car, I still got to make the payment. So I'm going to turn every stone over to see if can you fix this guy? Can you fix him? What offense we need to run? What do we need to put around him? Because he's in for the 230. That ain't changing. So he better find out the best way to get him to look like the old one.
Looking like he's taking a crap.
I wrote after the trade at the owners' meetings, if this doesn't work, this will be their tombstone as NFL owners. I don't know how you come back from this.
No, it's
like I don't know how you come
Well,
back from this.
now
if it doesn't work.
By the time that's over, it's 15 years in. You haven't won anything. And then all this off the field stuff comes back up because if he plays great, you live with that. If he doesn't,
he's great, it absolves them of a lot of the mistakes they made over 10 years.
Ben
But you talk
Roethlisberger
about
became a hero by the time he retired.
You talk about pushing all your chips to the center of the
100%.
table.
Yep.
And look, there's something to be said for that, but you better be right.
What other choice did you have? It's better than not playing the game.
And that's why 3rd and 4th round picks be damned. I don't care what
And that's
it takes.
it.
You better go find a receiver. That's Barry's job to figure out how do I get
You
me
know
a
what,
speed
though?
guy.
The
that
Browns were not
mentality-
in the game.
On that,
The Browns were not in the game.
Right.
They are today.
And they decided they were in the game with a risky hand. But it's a
That's your
risky
best
hand,
one.
I'll give you that.
That's your best one. You ain't
They're
card.
trying to pull
What's the poker
I
equivalent?
They're
got
trying to
two
pull it
twos
inside
and two
straight.
sevens,
They got it. I
but
was
damn
just
it, I'm
gonna say
all
that.
in.
They got an
They're trying
inside
to pull it
straight
inside
draw
straight.
against
But if you
pocket
freaking
aces.
pull it, if you pull it,
You know what they had?
clean up.
They had
They need a
Jack
6 of
Queen-
clubs.
They had a 10 Jack Queen King, and they're hoping that they get the ace in the same suit.
No.
with Baker
fire.
Mayfield, and
That was
not just
good, Paul.
Baker, a quarterback
Kudos
of
to you,
his
Paul.
level, you're out of the game. You can't compete.
You're out of
When
the
you
game
have
for the
3
next
elite
5
quarterbacks.
years and maybe longer if they didn't get this right.
That's why I wasn't against it. That's
Yeah,
why I wasn't
exactly.
Yeah,
against it.
you were for it. The funny thing is like the Rams right now are in a funny spot because
Everybody's running out of the building.
everybody's out. McVay is gone.
That's
Okay,
why he-
let
that's
me
why
just
he
tell you,
running.
Rams fans, you need a new coach.
He's Doc Rivers. He's out.
He is so out.
And-
I don't even think he cleaned out his office. He just said, "Hell with it, keep it. I don't need it.
I'll buy new.
So on the all-in philosophy, it only works. It's either a 100% win or a 100% fail. And in the Rams' case, it was a win. However, the Piper's standing at the front door, and he wants his payment. And you know what the payment is for the Rams? 5 years of irrelevancy.
But they
at
got a
minimum.
ring.
But they got the
They
ring.
got a
Do
ring.
you think they would trade you Aaron Donald?
They might now.
What are you going to trade him?
And by the way, he's older, so I don't know.
He'll still command 1. He'd get a 1.
He's at least a first round.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
first?
Oh,
Donald?
yes. Yes.
He still
He
getting
still
one?
played at a high level.
He's still among the best players at his position.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I
don't
know.
What do you
have
think? He's going to get a 6th round pick in a 2027
I
7?
thought it was.
Aaron Donald?
you don't have the trade
I
capital.
thought it was a 3 and your boy Nick Harris.
Is a Myles Garrett trade on the table if you're the Browns?
Damn, G, by the way, G, you just sounded like those people that text me and go, or to send me tweets and say, could the Guardians get Brian Reynolds for Miles Straw and Austin Hedges? You know?
that time machine trade was
Well,
trash.
I had someone tweet at the show and asked if we could trade a Curro for OG Anunoby. A Curro and a second for OG
That's
Anunoby.
worse.
And I'm like, God, I just don't think y'all understand exactly what's
can't
going
By
on.
the way, I heard I won't say who it is, but I heard somebody, a sports talk host, say the Cavs could trade Okoro and Karis LeVert for Anunoby.
Oh, Jesus. God,
I
You
said,
can't trade
and
that.
I do not proclaim to be a basketball expert at all. And I was like, that's insane.
You couldn't get an Ohio State Buckeye helmet decal and a chimichurro steak burrito for them two dudes. Bro.
Guys, I asked a question.
Yeah.
We got off topic.
Off topic.
that never happens.
I know. We've got all these needs.
Yeah.
And so when you start addressing needs, you look at, well, what you have to address them.
Right.
Is a Myles Garrett trade even something that the organization starts to think about?
Absolutely not. Not right
Absolutely
now.
not.
Not at this
What if
moment.
he comes out and says, I want to go?
Well,
Which is not outside the realm of reasonability here. I mean, it could happen.
No.
I mean, he's your best player on defense. You're trying to get better on defense. I don't think you get better by trading Myles Garrett.
Very rarely you get a number one pick who lives up to number one pick status. It's the reason they don't get traded. Like you can't trade LeBron.
Draft picks are cool.
Draft picks are cool.
Championships are cooler.
Good gracious, boy. No, I think he would probably get. You had to give up 2 number ones for Myles Garrett.
no, no.
I would.
I'm not trading him.
I'm not trading Myles
at
Garrett.
all.
I mean, I
He's
said I
off the
would.
table.
No.
We do have Maurice, though. Maurice,
Maurice,
what's up,
would
my
you
man?
trade him?